My girlfriend said Ethan's got that whole housewife thing down pat. Not so much with the man stuff at our company party in front of my boss and 8 executives. She was trying to sabotage my chances for the promotion we were both competing for. What she didn't know was that I had just accepted the position from a bathroom stall while she was still laughing. I need to get this off my chest because I am still processing what happened last Friday night and the aftermath that followed. This whole situation has me questioning everything about my relationship and my career, but maybe not in the way you would expect. I am Ethan Blackwood, 34, and I work as a senior marketing analyst at a mid-sized tech company here in Chicago. For the past 2 years, I have been dating my colleague, Scarlett Hayes, who is 31 and works as a marketing specialist in the same department. We have kept things professional at work, but everyone knows we are together. Here is where things get complicated. Both Scarlett and I have been competing for the same project lead position that opened up 3 months ago. It is a significant step up, managing the new client acquisition team. Substantial raise, corner office, the whole package. Our boss, Douglas Martinez, has been evaluating both of us. And honestly, it has been creating tension between Scarlett and me that has been building for weeks. I have always been the quiet, supportive type in our relationship. I am not the guy who needs to be the center of attention or prove how masculine I am to everyone around me. I prefer to let my work speak for itself. And I think that has served me well professionally. But lately, Scarlett has been making comments about my lack of assertiveness, both at work and in our personal life. Little digs about how I don't take charge enough or how I am too nice to really succeed in business. Friday night was our company's annual party. About 45 people total, including all the executives and regional directors. It is the kind of event where careers can be made or broken based on impressions, and everyone knows it. I was feeling good about my chances for the promotion. Having just finished a presentation earlier that week that Douglas seemed really impressed with, Scarlett and I arrived together, and everything seemed normal at first. We were mingling, talking with colleagues, having drinks. But as the evening progressed, I noticed Scarlett getting more animated, especially when we were in groups with senior management. She kept making jokes at my expense, little comments about how I am not exactly the alpha male type but sweet in his own way. Then came the moment that changed everything. We were standing in a circle with about 8 people, including Douglas, Miranda from HR, and several other executives. Someone was telling a story about their husband fixing something around the house, and the conversation naturally drifted to traditional gender roles and relationships. That is when Scarlett decided to contribute her thoughts. "Oh, Ethan's great at the domestic stuff," she said with this laugh that made my stomach clench. "Dishes, laundry, keeping the apartment clean. He has got that whole housewife thing down pat. Not so much with the man stuff, if you know what I mean." She actually winked at the group. The silence that followed felt like it lasted forever. But it was probably only a few seconds before people started chuckling. Some looked uncomfortable. Others seemed to be enjoying the drama. Douglas looked genuinely surprised, and Miranda had this expression like she was witnessing a car accident. I felt my face flush, but I managed to smile and say something like, "Well, someone's got to keep her fed," which got a few more laughs and seemed to diffuse the immediate tension. But inside, I was humiliated. This was my girlfriend, the woman I had been supporting and encouraging for 2 years, publicly emasculating me in front of my boss and the people who would be deciding my professional future. I excused myself to the bathroom, not because I needed to use it, but because I needed a moment to process what had just happened. I was standing in the stall, trying to figure out how to handle this situation, when my phone buzzed with a text from Douglas. "Hey, can you give me an answer on the project lead position by Monday? Need to make the announcement soon." I had been agonizing over this decision for weeks. The promotion would mean longer hours, more responsibility, and definitely more stress. Part of me had been hesitant because I knew Scarlett wanted it badly, and I didn't want to create problems in our relationship. But sitting there in that bathroom stall, listening to the muffled sounds of the party outside, something clicked. I typed back, "I accept," looking forward to the challenge. I hit send before I could second-guess myself, then sat there for another minute just breathing. When I came back out, everyone was still chuckling about something else, and Scarlett looked pleased with herself, like she had scored some kind of victory. Everyone was still chuckling when I came back to the group. Little did they know I had just changed the trajectory of my entire career from a bathroom stall. I finished my drink, made small talk for another hour, and we went home. Scarlett was in a great mood, talking about how funny the party was and how everyone loved her sense of humor. I didn't say anything about the text exchange with Douglas. I just smiled and nodded and started planning for what Monday would bring. Now I am sitting here Sunday night, and I still haven't told her about accepting the promotion. The announcement will come Monday morning, and I honestly have no idea how she is going to react. Part of me feels guilty for not giving her a heads up, but another part of me thinks she made her choice when she decided to publicly undermine me. I keep thinking about what she said and how it felt to have the person who is supposed to support me most try to diminish me in front of people who control my career. Is this what our relationship has become? Her building herself up by tearing me down? I don't know if I am handling this right, but for the first time in months, I feel like I am taking control of my own life instead of just letting things happen to me. Update. Holy shit. This got way more attention than I expected. To answer some questions. Yes, we live together, and no, she still doesn't know about the promotion. I will post an update after the announcement tomorrow. Edit. A lot of people are asking if this was just a joke that went too far. Look, I know Scarlett, and this wasn't some innocent comment. She has been chipping away at my confidence for months. Friday night was just the most public example. Update 1, remember me? The guy whose girlfriend publicly humiliated him at the company party? Well, Monday morning brought some very interesting developments that I think you will want to hear about. I got to work early, around 7:30, and found an email from Miranda in HR asking me to come to her office at 8:15 before the daily department meeting. My stomach was in knots, not because I was nervous about the promotion, but because I knew the next few hours were going to change everything. Miranda led me to a small conference room with the blinds closed for privacy. Ethan, Miranda said, sliding a folder across her desk. Douglas and the executive team have made their decision about the project lead position. We would like to offer it to you, even though I had already accepted via text. Hearing it officially felt surreal. $25,000 raise. My own office, with actual walls. A team of 8 people reporting to me. An immediate start date. Everything I had been working toward for the past 3 years was finally happening. We will be announcing this to the department in about 15 minutes. Miranda continued. Douglas wanted you to know first, so you could prepare for any questions about your vision for the team. I thanked her. We handled the paperwork, and I walked back to my desk, trying to keep my expression neutral. Scarlett looked up as I approached. Everything okay? You looked pretty serious in there. I just smiled and said, you will find out soon enough. At exactly 8:30, Douglas called for everyone's attention. Our department has about 20 people, and they all gathered around his office area for what everyone knew would be the project lead announcement. Scarlett was standing right next to me, and I could feel the tension radiating from her. I want to thank everyone who expressed interest in the project lead position, Douglas began. The decision wasn't easy, but after careful consideration of all candidates' qualifications, leadership potential, and strategic vision, I am pleased to announce that Ethan Blackwood will be taking on this role, effective immediately. The reaction was instant. Several people congratulated me. Some looked surprised, and a few exchanged glances between Scarlett and me, sensing the tension crackling in the air. But all I could see was Scarlett's face. She went through about 5 different expressions in the span of 10 seconds. Surprise, confusion, anger, forced smile, and finally, this look of dawning realization that she would massively miscalculated something. She recovered quickly. I will give her credit for that. Congratulations, babe, she said loud enough for everyone to hear, even managing to give me a hug. So proud of you. But I could see it in her eyes. She was furious. And more than that, she was starting to put together the timeline. Friday night humiliation, Monday morning promotion announcement. The math wasn't hard to do. The rest of the morning was a blur of handshakes, congratulations, and logistics meetings. I was officially moving to the corner office that afternoon, and Ashley Kim from the Seattle office would provide remote support for the first 2 weeks, while HR processed her internal transfer to work on site as my assistant. Everything was happening fast. which I think was Douglas's way of making sure there was no awkwardness or time for office politics to interfere. Around lunchtime, Scarlett finally cornered me in the break room. "When did you find out?" she asked, and there was something dangerous in her voice. "Friday night," I said simply. "Friday night, and you didn't tell me. You seemed pretty busy making jokes about my lack of masculinity to the entire executive team, didn't want to interrupt your comedy routine." She had the grace to look embarrassed at that. "Ethan, I was just being funny." Everyone was laughing. Yeah, they were. At me, thanks to you. You are really going to hold that against me? It was a joke. I looked at her for a long moment. This woman I had been with for 2 years, who I had supported through her own career struggles, who I had thought I might eventually marry. "Scarlett, you spent months telling me I wasn't assertive enough to succeed in business. You publicly questioned my masculinity in front of my boss and his boss, and now you are upset that I made a career decision without consulting you?" She didn't have an answer for that. The afternoon was spent setting up my new office and meeting with my team. 8 smart, motivated people who would now be looking to me for leadership and direction. The irony wasn't lost on me that the woman who had questioned my leadership abilities was sitting 20 feet away, trying to pretend everything was normal. She spent so much energy trying to make me look small. She forgot to make herself look big. Douglas stopped by my office around 4 to check how I was settling in. "Can I ask you something?" he said, closing the door. "What changed your mind? Last time we talked, you seemed hesitant about taking on this level of responsibility." I thought about how to answer that. I realized that sometimes you need other people to stop believing in you before you can start believing in yourself. He looked confused but didn't push for clarification. "One more thing," I added. "I need to disclose my relationship with Scarlett to HR for conflict of interest purposes. I will recuse myself from her performance reviews, and any major assignment decisions involving her will include her current manager's sign-off." Douglas nodded approvingly. Good thinking. Professional integrity is important in leadership roles. Later that week, I heard through office chatter that HR had a coaching conversation with Scarlett about maintaining appropriate professional decorum at company events. Nothing formal, but a gentle reminder about boundaries. That evening, Scarlett and I had our first real fight in months. She accused me of being vindictive, of using my promotion to punish her for a harmless joke. I told her that her harmless joke had shown me exactly what she thought of me and my potential. "So what now?" she asked. "You are my boss's boss now. This is going to be weird. I am not your direct manager, but the acquisition team now reports to me. If you want lead roles like Morrison, you will need to schedule time through my assistant, so I can review it with your current manager. We are still living together, but there is definitely a shift in the dynamic. She is being extra careful about what she says, and I am enjoying the quiet confidence that comes with finally being in a position where my work speaks louder than anyone's opinions about my masculinity. The best part, my team is already showing results. We landed 2 new clients last week, and Douglas is talking about expanding the department. Turns out I am pretty good at this leadership thing after all, edit. Some of you are asking if I am being petty. Maybe I am. But after 2 years of being told I am not aggressive enough to succeed, it feels pretty good to prove that wrong while sitting in the office she wanted. Edit 2. For those suggesting I should have told her about the promotion beforehand. Why? So she could spend the weekend trying to talk me out of it or figuring out how to undermine my decision. She made her position on my career prospects pretty clear at that party. Update 2. Quick update for those following this workplace drama saga. Things have gotten interesting. It has been 4 weeks since I started as project lead, and I have to say, I am loving every minute of it. My team has exceeded expectations on every metric. We have brought in 3 major new clients, and Douglas has been nothing but supportive. Ashley finished her transfer from Seattle 2 weeks ago and has been fantastic, organized, proactive, and has this wonderful way of making everyone feel important while still protecting my time. The office itself is everything I had hoped for. Glass walls so I can see the department, but still have privacy for confidential meetings. My own conference table for team meetings. A view of the Chicago skyline that makes every long day feel worth it. And yes, it is positioned so that Scarlett can see me whenever she looks up from her desk. Speaking of Scarlett, our relationship has been strained. We are still living together, but it is more like roommates who happen to share a bed occasionally. She has been going out with her friends more often, working late, generally avoiding spending time at home. I cannot say I blame her. It has got to be hard watching your boyfriend succeed in the role you wanted, while you are still doing the same job you have had for 3 years. But Wednesday afternoon brought a moment I have been waiting for without even realizing it. I was in my office reviewing quarterly projections when Ashley's voice came through the intercom. "Mr. Blackwood, Scarlett Hayes is here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment." Through my glass walls, I could see Scarlett standing at Ashley's desk, and Ashley was handling the situation with perfect professional courtesy. This was the moment I had been unconsciously preparing for since that Friday night party. "Send her in," I said. Scarlett walked into my office and I could see several of our colleagues watching the interaction. Our drama had become department entertainment, and everyone was curious to see how this power dynamic would play out. "Can we talk?" she asked, and there was something different in her voice. Less confident, more uncertain. I gestured to the chair across from my desk and waited for her to sit down. The symbolism wasn't lost on either of us. She was literally sitting in the supplicant position in the office she had wanted. "What can I do for you, Scarlett?" I wanted to discuss the Morrison account. I have been working on the preliminary research, and I think I should be the one to present to them when they come in next week. I leaned back in my chair and considered her request. The Morrison account was significant, potential 7-figure contract, and traditionally it would be handled by someone at her level. But as project lead, it was my call to make. "I appreciate your input," I said, keeping my voice professional but not particularly warm. "I will take that under consideration." Under consideration. "Ethan, I have been working on this for 3 weeks. I know this client better than anyone, and I respect that. But these decisions aren't made in isolation anymore. I have to consider team dynamics, client relationship management, and strategic positioning." She stared at me for a moment, and I could see her processing this new reality. I wasn't her boyfriend in this moment. I was her boss's boss, and she was requesting something from me in my professional capacity. So what do I need to do to get this assignment? I thought about it for a moment, then said, "Schedule a formal meeting through my assistant. We will discuss assignment priorities then." She looked like she wanted to say something else, but stopped herself. As she turned to leave, I added quietly, "And Scarlett, let's keep things professional going forward." The reference to her party behavior was subtle but unmistakable. She paused at the door, understanding exactly what I meant. That is, she started, then stopped herself. She knew she was in my office, on my turf, asking for my approval. Anything she said could only make things worse for her. "That is what?" "Scarlett." "Nothing. I will schedule something with Ashley." She left without another word, and I watched her walk back to her desk through my glass walls. Several colleagues found sudden reasons to be near her workstation, probably offering sympathy or just fishing for gossip about what had happened in my office. About an hour later, Ashley came in with a scheduling request from Scarlett for the following Tuesday. I approved it, because despite everything, I wasn't going to let personal issues interfere with business decisions. With the conflict of interest protocols I had established with HR, I could evaluate her request fairly while maintaining professional standards. But damn, it felt good to flip that script. That evening, Scarlett was unusually quiet during dinner. Finally, she looked up from her plate and said, "You enjoyed that, didn't you?" "Enjoyed what?" "Making me come to your office, making me ask permission. The whole power trip." I set down my fork and really looked at her. "Scarlett, do you remember what you said to me at that party? In front of Douglas, in front of everyone who matters for our careers? It was a joke." "Ethan, how many times do I have to apologize for that?" "You haven't apologized. Not once. You have explained it was a joke. You have minimized it. You have accused me of being oversensitive, but you have never actually said you were sorry." She was quiet for a long moment. Would it matter if I did? I don't know. Maybe, but it might be a good place to start. We finished dinner in silence, and I went to bed thinking about how completely our relationship dynamic had shifted. 6 weeks ago, she was making jokes about my lack of masculine authority. Now she was literally asking for my professional approval and calling me by my last name in front of our colleagues. Sometimes the best revenge is simply becoming the person they said you could never be. The Morrison meeting is next week. I haven't decided yet whether I will give her the presentation or handle it myself. But for the first time in our relationship, that decision is entirely mine to make. Edit. Yes, I am enjoying this more than I probably should. 2 years of being told I am not assertive enough will do that to a person. Edit 2. For those asking about our living situation, we signed a lease through December. Neither of us has brought up making changes yet, but I suspect that conversation is coming soon. Final update. Final update on this situation. And honestly, I think it is ending exactly how it should. It has been 3 months since I took over as project lead, and the results speak for themselves. My team exceeded our Q1 targets by 40%. We have brought in 6 major new clients, including the Morrison account, which we won on the second pitch after some initial setbacks, and corporate has approved additional budget allocation for team expansion. Douglas has been talking about potential regional promotion opportunities, and my name is apparently being mentioned in conversations with the C-suite. More importantly, I have found my leadership style. Turns out that being thoughtful and strategic, rather than loud and aggressive, actually works pretty well in our industry. Who would have thought? My team respects me, clients trust me, and I am finally in a position where my work speaks louder than anyone's opinions about my personality. As for Scarlett, well, that situation resolved itself in a way I didn't see coming. 2 weeks ago, she came into my office for what I thought was going to be another project assignment discussion. Instead, she asked to close the door and sit down for a personal conversation. I have requested a transfer to the Seattle office, she said without preamble. There is an opening for a senior marketing specialist position, and they have accepted my application. I will admit, I was surprised. When? I will be leaving at the end of next month. I wanted to give you professional notice since my departure will affect department scheduling. There was something different about her demeanor. Less angry, less combative, almost resigned. Can I ask why? She was quiet for a moment, looking out the window at the city skyline. Because watching someone succeed after you publicly bet against them gets old fast. And because I realized I cannot separate my professional jealousy from my personal feelings anymore. It was the most honest thing she had said to me in months. Scarlett, about the Morrison account. You gave me the presentation, she interrupted. I know I didn't get the result you wanted, but you gave me the chance. That meant something. She was right. I had let her present to Morrison. And while we didn't win that initial round, it wasn't because of her performance. Sometimes clients just go with what they know. However, 2 weeks later, Morrison came back to us after their incumbent vendor had some service issues, and we won the account on the second pitch with a modified proposal my team developed. I owe you an apology, she continued. What I said at that party, it wasn't a joke. It was mean-spirited and unprofessional, and I said it because I was scared you were going to get the promotion I wanted. I was trying to make you look small so I could look bigger. Finally, an actual apology. I accept your apology, I said. And for what it is worth, I think Seattle will be good for you. Fresh start, new challenges. Yeah, I think so too. She stood up to leave, then turned back. You know what the really frustrating part is? You are actually really good at this job. Better than I would have been, probably. I spent so much time resenting your success that I forgot to work on my own. After she left, I sat in my office thinking about how much had changed since that night in February. The woman who had questioned my leadership abilities in front of my boss was now acknowledging that I was better suited for the role she had wanted. It felt like vindication, but also like closure. Last week was Scarlett's last day. The department threw a small going-away party, and she gave a nice speech about new opportunities and staying in touch. Professional and gracious, the way these things should be handled. I wished her well, and I meant it. We had been together for 2 years, and despite how things ended, there were good times mixed in with the complicated ones. Her replacement starts next week, an external hire with impressive credentials and no history with anyone in the department. I am looking forward to the fresh dynamic. As for my personal life, I am dating again. Slowly, carefully, but with a much better sense of what I want in a partner. Someone who builds me up instead of tearing me down. Someone who sees my quiet confidence as a strength rather than a weakness. Someone who understands that there are many different ways to be successful and masculine. The woman I have been seeing for the past month is a financial analyst at a firm downtown. She is ambitious, driven, and when I told her about getting promoted, her first reaction was genuine excitement for my success. No jokes about masculinity, no subtle undermining, just support and pride. It is amazing how much better a relationship feels when you are with someone who actually wants you to succeed. Scarlett transferred to Seattle last week. Apparently, watching someone succeed after you publicly bet against them does get old fast. "Who knew?" she said. "I wasn't good at man stuff." Turns out leading the department she wanted while she transfers across the country to escape the daily reminder of her miscalculation counts as pretty manly. Thanks for the motivation, Scarlett. The best part? I am not the same person who let someone publicly diminish him at a company party. I am someone who turned that humiliation into professional fuel and came out stronger. Sometimes the best revenge is letting your success speak louder than their insults ever could.